It's unpleasant to become aware of the fact that we suffer. And you have to start somewhere. What are your current problems? What do you experience in your current life that is bothering you, that is weighing you down? What can you do on your level, at your stage, to get a little bit better? You have to be with it. You have to spend time with it. Because patience is the highest virtue. We're conditioned beings, so we are conditioned by our environment. So if you want to stay on this path, simply respect that rule.
Okay, Tobi Warzinek, have I pronounced this correctly?
That's good enough.
You will probably find comfort in the fact that many moons ago I was once called by my school teacher, no less, email.
I've heard about that.
So my name has been butchered quite a lot over the years. In all seriousness, I'm very honored and privileged to have you sitting opposite me to talk about your life and how you're helping people out, including myself, get out of the miserable dark hole that we've dug for ourselves. So thank you very much for making the time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure to be here.
Can we start by diving into your background and your story and how you came to become a meditation teacher?
Okay, I wouldn't even say that I'm a meditation teacher or anything like that, actually. So it's not really a question of like how did I become a meditation teacher? I don't see myself that way, but I do get that maybe some people see it that way. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so how did I get here? Maybe we can start with a bit of the background. I was born with a connective tissue disorder. It's called Marfan syndrome. Long story short, it makes you pretty aware of death. The average life expectancy back in the day without surgical intervention would have been, I think, about 40 years or so. My dad told me one time. Given that I had that, I was always quite aware that life is finite. It's basically about the, how do you say, aorta or aorta?
Yes, aorta. Yeah.
Aorta, yeah.
The heart valve, right?
Yeah, exactly. That can rupture. That you have like an aneurysm. That's really the life-threatening thing about this disease. And it's progressive, so it doesn't get better. It weakens the connective tissue over the course of your lifetime.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact, yeah.
Okay.
That's a fact. I always felt different, let's say it like that. I didn't have any deep thoughts like, life is finite and we have to be with what is exactly with what is the most meaningful or whatever.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the case. But I did always feel different. Body was very different. I was growing very tall and I always kind of stuck out in school, and so it brought a lot of difficulties on for me. I was bullied a lot in school and so on.
Yeah.
That led to very different thoughts, which kind of crystallized around, I would say, age of 16, 17, slowly into, well, what's the meaning of all this? Why would I work my butt off to achieve something that then in the end really is just taken from me again?
Yeah.
So we all die. Because of that, I failed in school. I didn't have any motivation to really study or make something out of myself with that background. And eventually even failed twice. Like in Germany, you have to, if you fail once, you have a chance to repeat. And then if you fail that second time, you just have to leave school. So I went into a private school where I failed again. And my mom worked really hard to make that possible.
Yeah.
I failed again, and age of 17 then, I become so desperate that I wanted to take my life, and I almost tried to actually do it. And that was a topic throughout my childhood. I had these suicidal thoughts many, many times, actually. So I contemplated that a lot due to having no perspective, I would say. And one morning, I had this conversation with my mom, and she remembered that she had a good friend who lives in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery. And here's the thing, I've always felt really drawn to Asian culture from very early age on. Asian martial arts, began with karate, then moving into Kung Fu, Shaolin monks, and so on. That was always like a thing that deeply fascinated me. And the spiritual culture behind that as well. So I was impressed by people who meditated and had discipline and all these things that I felt always very removed, very far from. And so one day in the morning, my mom remembered that she had a good friend who lives in this monastery, this Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Switzerland. And she asked me, would you be interested in going there? And I immediately said, yes, I want to go. I want to check this out. And so, that's how it kind of began. So when I went to this monastery, went for a summer course, which was about 1 month long, and the secretary there told us that I should check this out and see how it sits with me, and then we can see if I want to stay and study there or not. And that was the moment when I arrived there, I felt this is something special. And then after the first week, I really felt, this is it. That's my spiritual home.
Yeah.
I finally found something in life that is meaningful.
Yeah.
People were talking about things that really moved me. Happiness, suffering, how to go within and learn to understand yourself. And that really resonated with me a lot, I would say.
Yeah. And you ended up spending, correct me if I'm wrong, 9 years?
No. It was seven years where I was really living there and was very close. And out of those 7 years, I spent about 1 year back at home living with my grandfather who was having Alzheimer's, and I looked after him until he died. And so that was the 1 year out of those 7 years where I wasn't strictly at the monastery as well.
Yeah.
But it would be 7 years of being very close to the community there, living with them, studying with them, and so on.
In those 7 years, did you ever feel this desire to want to get out? I suspect you spent several hours a day meditating, or perhaps most of the day, and maybe a lot of mental anguish and thoughts that you didn't want to confront sort of surfaced. And I'm just curious to know if at any point you were desperate to get back out into the real world.
So first of all, it's not as you might imagine.
Yeah.
When someone says, you go into a monastery and you live there for 7 years, then people have all these ideas, you spend in seclusion and you meditate many hours a day and so on. It wasn't actually like that.
Yeah.
We had, how do you call it, trimesters, I think. It had 3 months of study, and it was on the full day, basically. We had morning prayers, then we met with our teachers, we studied the various texts there, and then you'd get back home into your room and then study some more.
Yeah.
That went on throughout the afternoon as well. We had debate, we had teachings from the abbot there as well, and various of the geshes, the teachers who lived there. And weekends were more or less off. So you'd have morning prayers, you'd have evening prayers, but this is optional. It was like this back in the day. I don't know exactly if it's really the same still as they do it today. And so the main focus was on study and prayer, and then you would do your practice personally in your room for yourself. So you learn a lot, and then you put it into practice in your room. And since I was pretty young when I was there, I wasn't really diligent or, how do you say, super devoted to seated practice, but I was very interested in it.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about it. I read about Zen monks and so on, and that always kind of fascinated me a bit, people sitting all the time and going into deep retreats, and these things really fascinate me. But for me, for myself, I wasn't particularly diligent or particularly like a powerful practitioner or something like this. I certainly didn't sit many hours a day. Sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, but it wasn't in the hours, for sure not.
Yeah.
It was way too much to learn, to study the language, the debate, the philosophy, and so on. That's all behind it. It's all backing it up. And then later on, I also worked in the boutique. I worked in the bookshop there as well. That also took away time from personal practice.
but I found it to be incredibly helpful just to be around people who do practice a lot.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the most crucial points, really, if you want to grow personally, spiritually. You want to hang out around people who do grow personally and spiritually. And that was the case for me, even though personally I was certainly far from really making any significant growth or anything like that.
So how did you then transition to moving to where we are today, which is Phuket, given that you had developed such a liking to being in the monastery and being around people of that ilk? What prompted you to come here and start the Phuket Meditation Center, which you're currently running with your wife?
Well, fell in love. I did a backpacking tour with my best friend back in 2008, and on that tour I met Pan, my current wife. Yeah. And madly fell in love, and against all the warnings of my fellow practitioners in the monastery, they were like, so you're going on the backpacking tour to Thailand, watch out, be careful. I was just really young, and I haven't yet had any of these experiences of having proper relationship or anything like that. Spending a lot of time in the monastery, you're kind of isolated from that. You don't really have time for relationships or anything like that. And so I guess something in me was really waiting for that. And so I met Pan here. And then the question was in the room, like, well, how do we have a relationship now? Should I move her to Switzerland into the monastery with me, or should she come, should I go to Thailand? And I decided to go to Thailand, asked my master there in the monastery what he thinks of that. And he said that would be a very good idea. So here I am, and in 2009, February, I then moved to Phuket. We did quite a long retreat, like not really super long, like a month. We spent together, Pan and me. We did a retreat together.
Okay, cool.
I had this idea suddenly come up to why do we not open a meditation center in Phuket? So the words Phuket meditation just suddenly popped up in my mind, and I was like, that's actually a good idea. And what's kind of strange and funny is that up to this point, I would have never thought of doing anything like that. But during the retreat, that suddenly felt just right. It was one of those moments in life, I guess, where everything just comes together, and it felt just right. So we opened Phuket Meditation Center, talked with my master, and he said, again, that would be a very good idea to do this. So here I am right now.
Because of you, I've had the benefit of having attended many of the retreats that you run, most of which are tailored for beginners who want to understand what meditation is really all about, perhaps deconstruct some myths about meditation that they may have read about or heard about on YouTube or from peers and friends and family. What I want to know next is, what is the basis of your retreats? What is your method? How is it different? If you could perhaps sum up in a nutshell, what happens over the course of the 5 days that students are here with you?
We basically gradually introduce them to the idea and the practice of meditation. Meditation here actually meaning proper jhana, as they call it in Buddhism, meaning the complete ending of the 5 hindrances, which you can look up. It's the ending of the 5 hindrances. I don't want to go into too much detail about that. Is a very, very deep state. Like for me, I cannot say that I have attained meditation practice, so I'm moving towards it. So this is also what we do during the retreat. We're moving towards this state. In order to achieve that, 3 things need to happen. First of all, you need to regulate your life, your lifestyle, your character, so that it becomes a suitable vessel for meditation practice, and finally even the attainment of meditation. Then you also need to practice meditation, obviously. That's also what we do. So it's a lot of guided and personal practice. And finally, you need to develop discernment, wisdom, and even the deeper stages of it, direct insight into the nature of the way things are, to help you even move more deeply, to move towards, I would say, the transcendence of suffering.
I try to keep it as practical as possible. And to me, the idea is to release suffering. That's my current idea. And that is for the benefit of oneself and others, for the good in this world. On day one, we deal with the basics. Just learn to relax a bit, releasing all this habitually held tension in your body, becoming comfortable within your body, and learning to sit still, which is already a big challenge for a lot of people. Day two, you would learn to come into the present moment, to release time, to release thoughts about the future, thoughts about the past. And day three, we go even more deeply into keeping the breath in mind and classical mindfulness of breathing technique, and a bit into questioning the way our experiences arise and pass, looking into impermanence a bit, looking into the aspects of what is worthy of abandoning, of letting go, what is worthy of cultivating, and so on. And day four is looking into cultivation of love, compassion, kindness. That's, in short, what we do during those 5 days. It's 4 days full and 2 halves.
So I've been on, I think, 5 or 6 of these retreats by now. And at least the first time round, it was because I was trying to escape the suffering that I had brought upon myself back home in the form of a broken down relationship. And I was seeking some kind of deeper meaning. And I suspect this can be daunting for people who don't necessarily seek a deeper meaning from the onset, but perhaps want to come to learn to relax more or be more successful in their day-to-day lives. So my question is, how do you kind of make your teachings, which are rooted in the ancient practice or philosophy, I don't know what you want to call it, of Buddhism, relatable to an individual living in modern times, which are chaotic, which are filled with, individuals who have limited attention spans, who seek instant gratification? How do you marry the two together?
This is a big challenge, I think, to really evolve within this, what we call the modern day lifestyle, with all those distractions and so on. It's a big challenge. I consider myself to be a bit of a doorway into this entire world. That's why I say I'm not like a teacher or something. Sure. I'm more like
a vessel,
a gateway, where people come to me and discover, there is this whole realm. Personally, I'm really fascinated. I have the same questions. How do I marry this? How do I make it gradually a little bit better and better? And as you do that, as you try to integrate more and more what you have considered to be really good, it's a good thing. You sit down, you get to know yourself a bit better. You let the mind, which is usually quite divorced from the body, you need to make it come back, to combine your body and mind, to bring it together, to really experience your life on a deeper level. We all understand that there is good to that, to come back to yourself, to get to know yourself, and that this is a beneficial thing, to be centered, to be anchored in something that is wholesome, that is helpful, that is beneficial to yourself and others. So I think this understanding has to proceed. And a lot of people feel that our meditation practice or spiritual practice is something that can offer a lot of good to my life. So people who come to our center and who come to practice with us on these retreats, they usually come exactly like you.
Yes.
Because they've had some problem in their life, some suffering, and they want to solve this problem. And they have a feeling that meditation practice, spiritual path, could help them solve their problems. And that is correct. I would say it's a lot about that. Mm-hmm. You solve your problems, and you have to start somewhere. So what are your current problems? What do you experience in your current life that is bothering you, that is weighing you down? What can you do on your level, at your stage, to get a little bit better? And it's all about, in the beginning, it's a lot about regulating yourself,
regulating your character, your lifestyle, learning to have certain routines, kind of reparenting yourself. There's this term floating around recently as reparenting, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, like taking responsibility for yourself,
Yeah.
Lifting yourself up, and so on, for the sake of then going deeper, going beyond the senses, diving more deeply into meditation, approaching the ending of suffering, the arising of much more genuine forms of happiness. So it's a gradual progression for most people. I would say what we do there is we're just at the beginning for a lot of people. They, through what we do, are able to discover that, hey, there's a whole world that is worthy exploring within myself and in this whole spiritual practice, in this path.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest epiphanies for me on my very first retreat, which was transformational to say the least, was the fact that I am the owner of my suffering, right? I cannot point the finger elsewhere anymore, because that would render me weak and helpless. Because I'm outsourcing all of my pain to someone else. It means I can't fix it myself. So unless they change, I won't change. And in learning that, I immediately gained a sense of freedom and responsibility. And so my question is, why are so many of us, like I was back then, so hell-bent upon not owning up to our own suffering? Why is it that we always find it difficult to look inside of us to see why we suffer and how we can overcome that?
It's unpleasant to become aware of the fact that we suffer. And a lot about the path is exactly that. Buddha called it the first noble truth, that there is suffering. And the duty when it comes to this truth is to comprehend it. And comprehending it means that you have to understand it. You have to be with it. You have to spend time with it. Because patience is the highest virtue is another one of those famous statements. Patience being the highest virtue. You need a lot of patience. And that patience, I would say, is caused by or fueled by your willingness to let go of your suffering. And paradoxically, I think it's that very suffering that produces or inspires your willingness to let it go. I have a little theory of this. I think that suffering is basically the force of evolution. It's only because when we suffer, we start asking ourselves questions. Since we do not want to suffer, we then want to get out of it, get beyond it, get rid of it. And then we use our present tools to achieve that. And those tools might be really twisted. I'll give you an example. You could just lie because it gives you a temporary fix to the problem that you're experiencing. So you just lie.
Like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's coping. It's managing, and it's a really bad coping mechanism too. It's really inefficient. While it solves the problem temporarily, it creates many other problems at the same time. And a lot of our coping or management strategies, they are exactly like that. They create more problems down the line. So while we are solving temporarily one problem right now, and we feel a bit better as a result, we have simultaneously created many more new problems. Also maintaining these kind of cycles of problem, solution, over and over and over again. Maybe a good question to ask ourselves would be first, how can I make this a little bit better? How can I bring a bit more wisdom into this problem-solving process? And then slowly, with the help of a teacher, with the help of good friends who are also on this path, you can slowly make your way out. Things get better, slowly. However, if your coping strategies, if it just stays at coping and managing, it never goes to transcending. So we also have to learn more deeply then to transcend our suffering, to transcend these kind of problems. And meditation is what empowers transcendence. Without meditation, you can't really transcend. If your mind is all over the place, if your life is all over the place,
Yeah.
you're totally caught up in this storm
you have no center. There's no talking of transcending. That you first need to create a bit of order inside of that chaos.
I do want to circle back to the coping mechanism, and I don't know if this particular form of therapy falls under it, but counseling or traditional psychoanalysis, typically therapists tend to go to the root of the problem in that, their patients end up reliving their trauma, and it doesn't always help them. Whereas in meditation, you're trying to let go of what doesn't serve you, right? So how effective is traditional psychoanalysis as compared to meditation in dealing with or solving your problems?
I would say that very much depends on the psychoanalyst that you're working with. You can be highly efficient at establishing at least the very first basis of the training, getting your character, getting yourself sorted out. If you find a really good counselor or psychotherapist, can do a lot for you. So it's often a good support even for the path, if you have that. And of course, there's psychoanalysts and counselors that are not helpful. But hey, the same is true for meditation. You might find teachers that really mess you up. Like teachings that really create more problems in your life than they create solutions, that let you get stuck in delusions faster. And it all happens in the name of meditation, like a lot of things these days. There's a lot out there that's called meditation.
Yeah.
And a lot of confusion as well surrounding this whole spiritual path. There's just so many offers that a lot of that can make you more deeply entrenched in, thinking, in creating, fabricating all kinds of coping mechanisms and inner worlds instead of actually dealing with the real problem, addressing it. Conversely, a really skilled psychoanalyst, really good counselor, will have you confront the problems that you need to work on, and it will have you take responsibility for them, and it will be a good partner on your side to solve your basic life problems. But what counseling and psychoanalysts and analysts usually don't do, I think, is go into the spiritual realm, beyond the senses, beyond thought, and into deeper forms of letting go. That I have not really heard of yet.
So in that vein, it's not totally effective, right?
Yeah, but it's like a hammer. It's good for putting nails into the wall, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other thing, the spiritual path is supposed to help you to enter the realm of spirit, soul, the deeper things that exist beyond the senses. That's really good for that. But both should be in support of one another, ideally. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the people, on the teachers, on the counselors, and so on, as to how efficient it is at solving your basic problems and the higher, more refined, more subtle problems.
Yeah, so let's touch on that. When it comes to finding a good teacher, I know you don't like to call yourself a teacher, but for lack of a better word, how can individuals discern between someone who is effective and someone who is not skillful? Because this could be the difference between going down the right path and thinking you're going on the right path, but actually going down a totally wrong one. Given that we are living in an era of self-help overload, retreat overload, there are theories out there, there are YouTube channels, there's an ocean of them. There are pretenders who, sort of proclaim to be the real deal. How can those that are on the fence about this whole path be more careful when they are determining who to choose to learn from?
Well, first of all, it depends what you want. And then you, of course, want to go to people that have exactly what you want. That's one thing. So that's one of the responsibilities of the students, actually, to become really clear about what exactly it is that they want. So that enables them to find the right person to give them what they want, or somebody that already has that. I think a lot of people are really confused about what they want. Many people use the word meditation. I want to learn meditation, but yet they're unable to define precisely what they mean by that. That's already the beginning problem. How do you define meditation? What precisely is it? What is that state that you try to achieve? Once you know that clearly, then yes, you can go to people who already have that. But how do you find them? One thing would perhaps be a sober, long-standing lineage. Within those sober, long-standing lineages, you can find, it's more likely that you find people who are qualified or can refer you to somebody who is qualified, meaning somebody who has attained that state that you're looking for. Then you go by observing their students. You hear out, it's like looking for testimonials, like looking for reviews. Before you go to a restaurant, you check out the reviews, right? In the same way, you need to check out what are the reviews of those teachers. But since here's the problem, that charisma and being really well-spoken and perhaps wearing some really fancy clothes and looking really powerful and having a whole massive temple around them and so on impresses a lot of people. It doesn't say much about the quality of that teacher yet. So you have to look around the students. You have to study the teachings. You have to know what is taught and then spend time with that person. You need to observe them, analyze them, see how do they react in the face of suffering. Once they're under pressure, do they exhibit the signs of somebody who is at peace? Somebody who isn't overcome by that pressure. And in, for example, Tibetan Buddhism, the way I have learned it is you can observe a teacher maybe 3 years, maybe 7 years, 9 years, or maybe even 12 years, spending time with someone, really analyzing their behavior and whether it's congruent, if it's the same as what they teach. Do they walk the walk? Sorry, do they walk the talk, isn't it? Do they walk the talk? Or do they just only talk? How do they live? Who are they? You have to figure this out. And investing time with somebody like this is a big investment of time to find it out. That's why you need the reviews. You need to check the testimonials, the credentials, before you even commit to study with a person like this for a longer time, because you will take on their qualities. And eventually, once you have discerned this teacher is appropriate, they will get me to my goals, then you rely on that teacher.
Yeah.
And you practice with them. It's complicated. It's complicated. But I think one of the most important factors is, first of all, you need to be very clear about what you really want. That's where the whole thing begins. It's not as simple as just saying, I want to learn meditation. What do you really mean? Why? What is meditation? What's that supposed to do to you once you have it? How's your life supposed to be different? And perhaps it turns out all you want is a bit more relaxed living, a bit more feeling happy and pleasant or something. Maybe that's what you want. And what do you mean exactly by relaxation? This is the job, that's a duty of the student, to create as much clarity as possible before they go and look for somebody that can give them what they want. That's where already, I think, a lot of people fail and then jump around from teacher to teacher, like a type of traveling from retreat to retreat, system to system, picking a bit here, picking a bit there, but doing nothing really.
I think that's a good point, though I sometimes personally struggle with goals too. In my professional life, the goalposts have shifted often. And I guess that's a function of age and priorities and circumstances and your changing environment. In the context of meditation, my goal I'm happy to admit, was to try and escape and find some solace somewhere. And then it kind of evolved to a higher goal of really wanting to deepen my spiritual practice, right? Or my spiritual evolution. But oftentimes on retreats, when I go through a pretty intense bout of suffering, I tend to then question that goal and wonder if I'm really, prepared for this. Like, is this something that I'm really willing to take on in the long term? So how do you advise people who go through similar phases of their spiritual journey, if you will?
Talk with your teacher about it. That would be my advice. If it was you and I was talking with you and you told me, well, I'm going through a hard time, I would ask you a lot of questions, trying to figure out what it is that's going on for you, and then try to find the cause of it.
Yeah.
I believe it's important to find the cause of our problem to be able to deal with it efficiently. If you just imagine a solution and then try to manufacture that solution somehow, it won't work, perhaps in some cases. You're lucky. Yeah, I would try to find out what really bugs you. What is it that hurts you so much? How do you think of that? First of all, would there be better ways to think of it that would then allow you to perhaps even release all those thoughts around it and stay with that bit more openness, emptiness, staying with that, giving some space for the underlying feelings to release themselves as well. Maybe that would be the right thing. Maybe the right advice in this time would be just, go out and play.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself a bit. Don't it's perhaps really unskillful to try to push through this. Maybe it's very skillful. It depends so much on the students and the teachers and where you're at on the path and what precisely is going on for you. That's why I said in the beginning, talk with your teacher.
Yeah.
That would be the best.
I think another factor that perhaps puts people on the fence before deciding to embark on a retreat or what have you is their religion, if they come from a religious background. I certainly did. I grew up as a Muslim. And so by extension, I grew up with a certain set of beliefs. And to some degree in theory, my belief was that everything I would learn might fly in the face of what I already knew. And so that was a scary proposition for me. In the end, it turned out to be more liberating than I could have ever imagined. But that's besides the point. The point is, are your retreats tailored for individuals who are not just maybe agnostic or don't believe, but those who also come from strong systems of belief? Is it non-denominational, in other words?
It's non-denominational, if you want to call it that, in the sense that you do not have to belong to any particular religious group at all. If you want to say passionate, maybe, about figuring this out. I want to know myself.
Yeah.
And I want to know how to find greater and greater experiences of release and joy and, presence and kindness and love and all the good stuff. This is what I'm looking for, and I'm really passionate about this for myself. And if you have that, if you're interested in discovering yourself, in exploring the mind, exploring the body and your relationship to it, exploring what lies beyond your thoughts, your conditioning, and so on. I find that fascinating. It's so interesting to me.
Like an adventure.
Yeah, like an adventure. It's like
a roller coaster.
Like a roller coaster. You're like an astronaut or an explorer, and you're going out there.
Yeah.
It's just the other way. You just go in.
Yeah.
And as you go in, you discover so much about you, and especially you'll discover that a lot of the stuff that's there, you don't really need. It weighs you down, a lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it really weighs you down. A lot of it is also really positive and uplifting and good, but it points to more release, ideally. So as you become lighter and lighter, your heart becomes more and more open. Yeah, your life gets better, your relationships get better, and so on. And I think that's one of the real purposes, if you will, of a religion, in my mind, would be more connection with something that is greater than yourself.
Yeah.
Something that transcends the conceptual limitations, your thoughts, your ideas of the world and yourself, and all this fabricated stuff within ourselves that we have learned since birth, all the stuff that's been filled into you. What are you without that? And the more empty you become, I would say, the more easy it becomes to connect with something that's higher and with others too. And through that connection flows warmth, peace, appreciation, goodness. Isn't that the goal of being like a Christian or a Muslim or, I don't know, a Hindu or something like this? Is not to just attain some highest form of self-obsession. Like, I have attained this fancy state that I'm now really attached to, or something like that.
Yeah.
But isn't it to allow something greater to come through this little body and express goodness in this world in some way, to bring good into everything? Not that you bring it into. You're not the one. I think you can't do this. You can't bring good into the world.
Yeah.
But the more you disappear, the more your solid sense of self and the fabrications and all that kind of stuff, the more loose it becomes, the more open it becomes. I have an impression that the more good can come through you.
Yeah.
The more patient you are, the more calm you can stay, the more equanimous you become, more loving, kind, caring, and so all these good qualities. If you're interested in what those words that religion points to really mean, you're in the right place. I would say really do live your religion.
Yeah.
Actually find what the external layers of the religion are actually protecting or preserving through the centuries. What's the hardwood of it? Figure that out and connect with that.
Or focusing on what unites us across religious communities as opposed to what divides us, right? Which is a problem that plagues society today, unfortunately.
Yeah, you bet. I think so too. What does unite us? What do we have in common?
Yeah.
One of the most basic things that we have in common is we suffer. We don't want to suffer, but we do suffer. We're subject to suffering. We're fragile.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to break. It's easy for me to suffer. It doesn't take much. And we have that in common, I would say.
Yes.
You can break, I can break.
Yeah.
You don't want to break, I don't want to break. I don't want to hurt, you don't want to hurt. And you search happiness, right? You want to feel better. You want to have more of the good stuff. So do I. We share this. So let's figure this out. How does it work? What are the causes of happiness? What are the causes of suffering? Let's let go of the one to attain the other. I think it's fairly straightforward. There's one of my good friends, he says it's simple, but it's not easy. I really like that statement.
Yeah.
He says this, right? He says, it's simple, but it's not easy. I agree. It's fairly simple. It's fairly straightforward. But doing it like properly, understanding all the causes of really embodying those causes, that's difficult. Going against the whole grain of your made-up personality, embarking on this journey, I would say.
What do students typically, based on the feedback you've received, get out of these retreats?
Well, a lot of them say that they have more clarity, I would say. That's one thing. They have a better understanding of the various causes and results of this path. Then, of course, relaxation. They get a lot out of that.
Yeah.
It's 4 or 5 days without these phones and without the internet, and 4 or 5 days of great simplicity, staying with yourself, slowing down, sleeping when you need to,
Yeah.
meditating when you want to, going deeper into this practice really resets their system, I think, to a surprising extent. Now, I'd say 5 days is not much, but I'm surprised as to how much people get out of it. They all tell me after the retreat, it's like, wow, I feel like reborn. I feel so good. Our slogan, life-changing, right? We say Phuket Meditation Center, life-changing. That life-changing, I put it there because so many people told me this word after they left the retreat. It's not something I made up. It's just that people always tell me, this was a life-changing experience. This was a life-changing experience. So we decided, okay, let's use that as a slogan.
Yeah. It's a good marketing ploy as well.
I'm a marketing expert.
You are.
I would say clarity, relaxation, and maybe most importantly, practical understanding, the how to do it, how to practice meditation without any kind of weird ideas about it.
Yeah.
Down to earth, real practice, real results. And people get it. 4 or 5 days. It's not much, but they do get, I'm always surprised as to how much they get out of it.
What I like about your approach is that it focuses on repetition, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, which can seem mundane at the time, but you see it has a compounding effect over time, right?
Yeah.
It's the case with anything. You want to be a good lifter in the gym, you have to keep going to the gym, right?
True.
You want to hit a long ball on the golf course, and you've got to keep practicing at the driving range, right? So it's the same thing applies to meditation. How challenging can it be for a student post-retreat to keep up with the practice on their own, given that there is no formal guidance, and you're not in the presence of, and by extension, the energy of others who are moving towards the same goal? I mean, I can speak personally for the fact that it can sometimes be a challenge, and you can derail yourself and start to feel like, okay, I missed a day, that's fine. And then a day becomes 6, and then 6 becomes a week,
right?
Or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it can set in motion some bad habits, right?
Yeah.
So is that something students come to you with as a challenge?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. That's the thing. Yeah. It's, why does this happen? I believe it all boils down to our friends, our community. What is it that surrounds and feeds us? If that community feeds you, those ideas of meditation practice, mindfulness, all that shebang, if they feed you that, you will become that more and more. But if you're, as you said, on your own, I think you can't. To be frank here, because you can't just develop this path on your own, because you are the one that is the problem and creates the problems.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you supposed to, on your own, suddenly turn into a solver of yourself? How can you solve yourself? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have to kind of be solved by something greater than yourself, and that is the community of practitioners, the wise friends, noble friendship. There's one of the sutras where the Buddha talks about this to his cousin Ananda. And if I'm not mistaken, Ananda comes to him and he says something like, spiritual friendship, spiritual camaraderie is half of the path. And the Buddha corrects him. He says, no, that's not true. Don't say that. Don't say that. It's all of the path. You are a conditioned being. I'm a conditioned being. We're conditioned beings. So we are conditioned by our environment. So if you want to stay on this path, simply respect that rule. You're conditioned by your environment.
you're not conditioning yourself, but you are conditioned by the media you consume, the people you hang out with, and so on and so forth. So what I always recommend people when they go back home is join a group that is in alignment with what we are doing at the retreat. If it's people who come to our retreat are interested in doing the same kind of thing, or they can join maybe an online group, something like that, or regularly listen to our podcast or something like that. They can kind of stay a bit in touch. They can ask questions on there. I integrate that into the podcasts. So that is an option. For me, it's like trying to support them a little bit as they go back home.
Yeah.
That works more or less. You know how it is. Once you're on your own, you do other things. Life kind of takes over.
Or is it that you let life take over?
Nah, I don't believe in that. It'd be too much.
That's too much self-flagellation, right?
It's too much actually giving yourself much more credit than it deserves, I think. It's like I am the one that runs that runs the show. I don't think that is actually the case. I do really think that I'm completely, utterly conditioned. So maybe the best I can do after the retreat, once you have been conditioned towards this goal, to maintain that conditioning by reaching out to groups, finding yourself a teacher. Best thing you can do, I guess, is to find yourself a good teacher and then stay with them and practice with them and practice with your friends who are on the same path. And that would be important.
Which can be very hard to find.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Have you noticed any generational differences in the way people approach inner work or stillness or meditation? Because I presume, and I've seen on the retreats that I've been on, people from all walks of life, right? You've got young professionals in their 20s maybe, you've got people experiencing midlife crisis maybe, or an older parent. Are there differences in the way that people approach what you are disseminating to them? And how do you tailor your teachings as such to cater to those different ways, if that makes sense?
I don't think of this.
Sure.
I don't think of this. I just express my personal practice in that moment.
Yeah.
And I pray that it may be of benefit to those who attend and listen to, and it may reach them as it is required.
Yeah.
And once it leaves my mouth, it's kind of out of my hand what they do with it or how they hear it. Also, I don't know. I really do hope it does. And we do get feedback as well after people of all age groups, all kind of professions. They write to me sometimes how it has helped them to move on and how the retreat has addressed them as well. But I'm always surprised to hear the different responses.
Yeah.
Like when I speak about something and what people hear is wildly different. Sometimes it completely is that the perceptions of people doesn't allow them to hear the same thing. Your perception and someone else's perception are completely different.
Yeah.
Maybe some similarities, but how we hear things, out of my head. I can only do as much as that. I just try to practice as sincerely as I can in front of those people, kind of share my contemplations with them.
Yeah.
And some things will resonate, some things won't. The way I see it is like any kind of thing that lands within your mind, that when you're hearing it like this, it will act as some sort of seed, hopefully helping you at some point in your life to remember this and then maybe go out and find somebody that can lead you deeper.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps what I was getting at was that older folks, and I run the risk of stereotyping, I'm not, but from what I've seen in my experience, the more you've lived on this planet, the more hardwired your habits are. As they say, old habits die hard, whereas younger people have brains that are maybe more malleable and they're more open to seeing things differently, right? because people have come away with life-changing experiences, and so they are seeing reality in the world in a way that they never could have thought they would otherwise, right? If they had gone on with their daily life, as it were. So in that sense, do you find that generationally progress is different? The speed of progress is different. And that can that be a hindrance, or is that just the way it is?
I think it gets difficult more when the older you become, the more difficult it becomes.
Yeah.
And like your body gets more stiff, your mind becomes more stiff, like your habits become more stiff. Everything becomes more like kind of glued, stuck. As opposed to when you're young, you're still malleable, you're still flexible, you're able to absorb information at a much faster rate, you can maintain that information and so on. Yeah, definitely it's more easy to practice. Your body can sit more long and sit still and without like being a real burden. So yeah, as the older you get, the harder it becomes to apply the practice, so that for older folks who cannot do certain things, the advice and the instructions would have to be different to match their current state.
Yeah.
As for the younger folks, they can do more of other things. And so for them, the instructions, again, should be different. It's not that older folks are lost and there's no hope for them because their bodies are stiff and minds are stiff and so on. They have to enter through different roads. And I try to respect that in the retreats. That's why we have small group size. It allows me to be a bit more personal with people and help them more individually so that they feel addressed and they feel that they are empowered. They can do something. That, yes. But yeah, definitely there is a great difference, which should be, for us, a warning to understand that the house we are currently using as a refuge is going to burn down, is going to break apart. Like everything you currently use to make yourself comfy, to make yourself feel good, it will burn down. If we forget that, then we tend to waste time. If we keep that in mind, that our lives are finite, that our abilities, our health is finite, in combination with knowing that right now we have this incredible opportunity to liberate ourselves from suffering, so that when it strikes, you do have another refuge. It's like having an extra house. Like you have a plot of land next to your house.
Yeah.
And you know that your house will burn down at some point, and that's for sure. But you can move over and have a safe kind of place there for yourself. And then once the old house burns down, you just move over. That's the situation for somebody who has practiced well. That once old age approaches, illness approaches, death approaches, these things come to us, we still don't suffer them. There's no resistance, there's no tension, there's no drama around those things, but just ease, perhaps even pleasure.
Yeah.
Because you're at ease, you're open, you're not stuck, right? That would be great.
Yeah.
It's an exhortation to really, like, I have to remind myself all the time, man, you're getting older, you know?
Yeah.
Things are not getting easier.
No.
It's like, don't waste your time. It's very easy for me to waste my time.
Guilty as charged, man.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Right. We're all like in the same boat.
Yeah.
We're all suffering and trying to make our
death,
way out.
Old age and illness, as brutal as that truth is,
Yeah.
just seems like so far away from you. Even when you experience it with like your grandmother or your parents, right? It just, until it hits you, you're never truly going to be able to feel what that's like.
Yeah, but we can abstract. We can think back. What was the most unpleasant situation in your life? Are you still capable of experiencing something the same extent or worse? How might that be? Like, these contemplations are really important.
Yeah.
To think, where am I heading? What's the outcome of all this? What's the true goal that I'm heading towards in my life? what will I really experience in the future? And if you don't think further, you'll very likely be stuck with, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm going to be really successful business owner and, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to think further, not in terms of time, but in terms of what's more truthful, what's more real. Yeah, you are going to be successful, perhaps, maybe. The future is super uncertain, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't really know. One thing we do know, we will get old, ill, and we will die. The loss of youth, beauty, strength, the loss of health, flexibility, all the good stuff, and the loss of life. All these things we really cherish. We're going to lose them. What does this actually mean? What does it mean to me that I will lose all those things that are dear to me? And it's easy to just brush that away and ignore it and waste time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a master at that, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're a master at other good things too.
Who knows?
Have there been any bad, for lack of a better word, student experiences on these retreats from their own perspectives, of course?
Yeah. There have been bad experiences too, of course. Yeah. There was one guy, we just talked about him previously.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
The guy that had a really hard time with flies when we were at the beach. But man, those flies were really attacking him. It's almost like he was like a magnet to those flies, and they just all came to him and just keep flying in his face and so on. And he got so angry that he just stood up after the meditation and just left. Never seen him again. He's just walking away. Just disappeared. I really do hope that he found a way to keep his center in some way in situations like this. That'd be awesome.
You didn't get a chance to talk to him about it?
No, I didn't. I don't think I could have done anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he used his freedom to move out of the situation. That's one that came to mind.
Yeah.
Another bad experience. Not really bad. To come back to one more thing, maybe. You mentioned this. You're repeating a lot.
Yes.
And I had one guy, he's a bit more experienced. He's been at plenty of retreats, for example, just recently. And after the retreat, I asked him, so how was it for you? And he said, so yeah, I've heard all that stuff already. I know that already. So it was rather uninteresting. I didn't learn anything new. And that reminded me of something my teacher once said, which really stuck with me. He said something like, becoming immune to the medicine. Like if you hear the same teaching a couple of times and your response to that would be, I know that already. I've heard that already. Then it's like becoming immune to the medicine. Actually, every time you hear it, it should reverberate in the experience of that. If it doesn't do that, if it just stays only in the intellect, and isn't embodied, then it still needs to be embodied. That would be the missing point. That would be something where someone would have said, like, yeah, it wasn't all of an enriching experience. It wasn't a bad experience for him, but I think it wasn't enriching, he felt. I'm really honest with you. Not much comes to, maybe in all those years in which we did it, we had like 3, 4, maybe 5 people who were unhappy and left.
Yeah, I'll fact check that later.
Do it. Knock yourself out.
No, I've got better things to do, like waste time. I had a really interesting discussion during the most recent retreat that I attended with you with a fellow retreater during, I think, lunch or breakfast. I forget which meal it was. But I think one thing that most of us come away with is this idea of having greater awareness of ourselves and our suffering and how we can transcend it. And he made an interesting point. He said, in my opinion, awareness is both a blessing and a curse, in that it's a blessing because you see through you see reality having taken off the rose-tinted glasses, right? You see it for what it is. But at the same time, it's a curse because you're more responsible and you have no excuse anymore. Is that a valid point? Or is it a matter of perspective?
Yeah, it's like illuminating the darkness in a way. For the darkness, perhaps, it's considered a curse, the illumination. But the illumination itself is a blessing. Mm. It's something good. But the darkness that is dispelled by that illumination, that's the whole point of illuminating something, is to dispel darkness. And so awareness does that. And to the one or the thing, the contraction that is dispelled, it might first feel like a curse because we're holding these contractions habitually. Maybe the point of this is just simply to maintain a sense of self, a sense of control. Mm-hmm. And we do this so often that our body gets used to it. It becomes kind of an expression of that to some extent. And then the melting away of this, as you bring in greater attention, awareness, consciousness, that can feel like unpleasant. Mm. It might feel that. I'd say then remember that it's not really a curse. It's like some of these people say, I wish I was a cat. I didn't have anything to do. I could just relax the whole day. It's similar to that, I think. You call something a curse that isn't actually a curse, but that might still make you feel unpleasant. Like wanting to be a cat feels pleasant, but is actually far less pleasant than people make it out to be, I think. Like you'd sacrifice all that clarity in your mind and whatever, like you'd become just an instinctual being rather than remaining on a higher plane.
So the idea of framing it as a curse maybe is the conditioned part of you that doesn't want to let go of those habits that have been holding it back because it's used to them, right? You've developed those neural pathways. They're so solidified in yourself that you almost find it hard to let go of them.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Because you're identified with them.
Yeah.
So that releasing something that you've used to feel as a solid self, to let that go, it's a bit like a small type of death. Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose yourself, your control, your habits, your sense of like continuity and all that. You don't want to give it up. You don't want to lose it. But yeah, awareness really can. Yeah. In not all, definitely not all cases, but it can really threaten that. And that's perhaps also a thing that why serious spiritual practice can actually be really ill-advised for a lot of people. It's not suitable for them to do it because it would make things worse. It would exacerbate their negative tendencies and so on, especially if they don't have a proper guidance. If they're doing it on their own, and they go hard, this is actually very unwise. Yeah. Lots of things can go wrong. So it's always good to do it in a protected, good environment, specifically because when this, what you call curse, kind of manifests, it might be really hard dealing with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to have a partner by your side that kind of helps you get through.
So you're also evolving your practice, even as you run these retreats. How do you restock your own energy levels and make sure that you're, your tank is full when it comes to giving your best and ensuring that you're up to speed with how the modern day individual is thinking about life, etc. Because a lot of times in your teachings you say, if you're giving your opinion on something, you'll say, this is what I think at this particular time. It might change in a few years. That makes it incumbent on you as a teacher, again, for lack of a better word. I'm sorry. We're going to have to come up with something
Just
better.
Stop it.
I don't want to be naughty. It makes it, the onus is then on you to ensure that you are diligent and disciplined about your own practice, right?
Yes. So the way I recharge is, first of all, with the basics. Good sleep, good food, good company, keeping my life as simple as possible. That's definitely already one thing. And having structure, having a routine that is beneficial. And then, of course, coming to the higher things, practicing meditation and throughout the day maintaining, like trying to stay out of the mud of the mind as much as possible. I found that to be quite helpful. Connecting the mind and the body, I would say, is just a pretty good basic thing to do throughout the day to stay grounded, centered, and to maintain a lot of the energy that otherwise would just go out thinking about this and that.
And how do you do that?
Do you feel your body right now?
Yes.
If you were to close your eyes, let's say, would you know that you have a body right now? What is it that tells you that you have a body?
Well, you just know it.
You just know it. Without thinking of it or imagining it, you simply feel it, right?
Yeah.
Then just do that. And then train yourself to stay with that. Keep it in mind. It's a very basic thing. I think would do a lot of people good doing more of that.
Yeah.
Just learning to connect with the body. As you bring more awareness into the body, you will naturally also notice, like, oh, where am I holding tension? Can I release that? Can I be a bit more relaxed, a bit more loose? Immediately, as soon as I put awareness into my body, it immediately starts to respond with ease. It's happy that I come back home.
Yeah.
Right? So you can do that a lot. It's a fairly simple, straightforward, basic instruction. Learn to do that. Take a shower, be there.
Yeah.
Eat your food, be there. Have a conversation with someone, be there.
Here. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What about when you're wasting time? Are mind and body connected?
Mindfully waste your time. Of course, I'm just kidding. Mindfully, like this is like this mindful dishwashing thing. Just wash your dishes mindfully, and that's the path to enlightenment. Wasting time. That's a big ailment. I find myself wasting a lot of time throughout the day. I mean, damn, social media, such a black hole. It just sucks you right in. And then you're on there, right? And you see all kinds of interesting things, and boom, 30 minutes are gone. Boom, an hour is gone. And then after that comes the mind. It creeps in and says, you're a naughty boy. You should have done better here. You should have done some meditation and so on. And that's for me when the practice begins. As soon as I notice that, I start beating myself up, for example.
Yeah.
In this instance, okay, this is just an example of where the practice kicks in. Okay, awareness comes up. I notice, all right, the mind is thinking, the mind feels guilty. And I receive that with understanding as good as I can, understanding the causes and conditions, and then releasing the thoughts, coming back into the body, simply coming back into the practice. And then staying there, even though my mind really wants to punish me or punish itself in some weird way because I didn't do what I should have done. I come back, and then I formulate a very clear intention. Well, the next time this happens, I will react in this way, which is slightly differently, better. So I kind of try to maneuver this. And sometimes that works better, and sometimes it doesn't really work all that well. I find during times where suffering is a bit more intense, that the willingness to distract becomes more, and it's harder to be with myself and to endure myself, to meditate, to come into stillness, becomes more difficult. I don't know, one of the Japanese masters who said, you should meditate an hour every day, except when it's really, or except when you don't have any time, then you should meditate for 2 or something like that.
It's a good one.
Yeah, because we avoid when we need it the most. We also want to avoid the most. I feel this is, for myself at least, the case. Yeah. So it's really a lot of work, sorting myself out, aligning myself with better, higher up qualities. It's no easy task. I'm not good at it. You have some good things to say, or you have some good qualities. Perhaps the only good thing I could say that exists thanks to the good influences that I had in my life, that exists in my mind, would be a wish to at least do it well.
Yeah. On that point, is there any such thing as a bad meditation?
A bad meditation?
Let's say you're moving a lot, you're in a lot of discomfort, you are distracted, you get pulled into thoughts and narratives and stories, but you still sit there for 30 minutes to an hour. You persevere and you pull through. Is that considered a bad, ineffective meditation?
No, I wouldn't consider it a bad thing at all to show up, to at least make an effort to at least show up. Not bad at all. I think that is something good. And of course, these questions would really depend on the context. What is meditation? What is good? What do you think is bad exactly? But from my background, I would say, you showed up and you sat there for 30 minutes, you sat there for an hour, and your mind was all over the place and you couldn't really maintain any mindfulness and so on. I'd still say, well, that's pretty awesome, actually. Well done. Keep going. Sometimes you'll have days where it's just madness. Then you'll have days where it's heavenly, fantastic. And as the better you get, the less impressed you are by either heaven or hell, whatever arises in your mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't pull you in anymore. And then things get much better, if you want to say that. Yeah, I would say there's a true kind of, you can compare things. Well, in terms of the outcome, was it good or bad? In terms of the input, was it good or bad? A lot of the times when I look back, I can only say, well, I couldn't have done any different. It's like me trying not to be Tobi. Like I wish I was some super powerful master that could just rock away and have this amazing meditation every single time or something. I'm just Tobi. So that's what's going on. But you get less and less impressed, and I think that's good. You get less and less impressed by feelings, emotions, thoughts, and the way things are. It becomes less and less interesting. That would be a good development.
Yeah, fair enough. Can I make a small correction? You're not just Tobi, you're Tobi the teacher. You're forgetting the narrative here.
Oh my God, man. Are you creating something with that?
Okay, to round things off, I would like to ask you what you think is one small but powerful practice that anyone can start today, even skeptics. I'm talking about those that perhaps don't have the resources or the time or the money to perhaps go on retreat, for instance, right? Within the confines of their busy lives, what is one thing they can do to make their lives better?
So, well, approach what you know to be good, what you should do. I think everyone kind of knows, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? At least to some extent. Let's say people understand that there is this, knowing this would be good, both for myself and others, if I did that. And this would be harmful for myself and others if I did that, if I said that, if I thought that. Pick one thing, whatever it is that's most dominant in your life, that's pulling you into a direction where you know you shouldn't go in, and replace it with one thing that you should do, or you know, like I should do it. I should perhaps lie less.
Yeah.
Maybe your big kind of thing is that you find yourself lying all the time to other people, and you kind of don't like it, but you're caught in the net of lies or something, and you know, oh, this is so bad. Oh my God, I have to lie again, and little white lies, big black lies, whatever, right? That just happens to us, right? If we go into that direction, make it less. Do it less.
Yeah.
Just today. Less. And instead, replace it with speaking the truth, thinking the truth, saying the truth. And then you've got a bit of a momentum to make your life a little better. Something like that. A lot of people have trouble sleeping. A lot of people use their mobile phones way too much. Do less. No recommendation from me like, God, like watch your breath or something.
Yeah.
Just get the normal stuff sorted that you know you should get sorted as good as you can, and begin making a bit of an effort in that direction, both for your own benefit and the benefit of others that live with you, that live around you, have to put up with you.
Can I just say that the power of that silence before your answer was palpable? I felt like I was in the presence of greatness.
Right. All right. I'm happy you noticed. I produced a lot of silence there for you.
And I'm going to speak the truth right now. This was by far the worst conversation I've ever had.
I agree. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Horrible. No, honestly, from the deepest recesses of my heart, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your life story, and your pearls of wisdom. I'm deeply grateful for the time that you've spared to talk about everything that you have. And I sincerely wish you only the best moving forward. And yeah, may we meet again soon.
We definitely, hopefully, will. It was very nice hanging out with you. I really enjoyed the interview. Some great questions, good, nice reflections. And so I always enjoy hanging out.
Yeah.
That's a great time.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And you can go back to wasting more time now.
Sounds
if you
great.
would like
Let's
to.
do that. All the best, man.
All right, cheers.
Take care.